Hey everyone, welcome to Wisconsin Whistle. I'm your host, Dan Dyhard Vachalek. This is IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So some Giannis news came out of what he said to the Bucks. We'll go over that in today's show. It's a possible trade options as well, if that is a possibility, or maybe just some things that the Bucks can improve on for this season. We do have the Packers. That's why I have my Packers polo on. We have the Packers schedule, the whole NFL schedule coming out tonight. We do know some games though, so we'll cover those games as well. Give you what's all been updated so far. Along with, there were some recent comments from the coordinators, including the assistant head coach / special teams coordinator on the Packers. And the Brewers have had a lot of injuries so far. Pitching, their offense has been terrible. We'll go over that and what's to come. Stay tuned. There's more and a whole packed show today. Welcome, everyone, to the Wisconsin Whistle. I'm your host, Dan Vachalek, a.k.a. Dyhard. So, basically, just to start this off, I'm going to start the show off on the Bucks briefly, just with the news, just if people haven't seen this already or haven't caught up to it yet. Whatever. I'll figure that out in a minute. Oh, I'm all over the place. Basically, Giannis has said he's open to looking at different teams. He's open-minded, where the quote was the quote. The last time Giannis said anything that the Bucks had to do for him to re-sign, which was the Bucks have to show that they're interested in winning the championship, was when they traded for Dame. Now, the Bucks did that huge move, and it hasn't turned out well at all. Not only have they dealt with injuries, but they've also just first-round exits, and it hasn't gone well. So this time where Giannis is saying he's open-minded, I think is like not even a threat to the front office like last time was a threat. I think this time it's more of like if we don't win, I'm out of here. Now, if he wants to get traded or if he wants to stay the 2 years, that's kind of his call. But right now is probably the best leverage the Bucks are going to have in trading Giannis. Not only does he have 2 years under team control, but they also can control who they trade him to. Now, the Spurs have been a big rumor. They have the 2nd and 14th pick in this year's draft. The Mavericks have now been rumored as well after trading Luka. They have the number 1 pick, and actually, with Nico Harrison's decision-making, I'd say, He might just trade out a Cooper Flag and give that to the Bucks, which I think Cooper Flag might be, next All-Star, next top player in the NBA, just off of everything he's done. So I wouldn't be opposed to that, but again, I don't want to trade Giannis. But we'll go over some trade options that I have, some thoughts. Also, the Packers schedule is getting released at 7 p.m. tonight. Right now, from what I've seen, is the Packers, at least this is a rumor, is the Packers are getting back-to-back weeks. They do have Monday night on November 10th. I think that's week 10 as well, at home against the Eagles. They're saying in the rumor earlier is that the Packers will go to New York and play the Giants in week 11. So that'll be back-to-back games. They have not announced the Dallas game yet. Packers are not on Christmas, but they are supposed to be against Detroit on Thanksgiving Day at 11 a.m. Local time. So that's some news. I guess the Panthers are going to be at week 9. That's coming out of Charlotte. That's probably a noon game. There's another report that came out this morning that was saying the Packers are going to host the Commanders in week 2. They're also saying the Packers might start the season off against the Lions. I saw that, or I heard that this morning, actually, that a report says the Packers will face the Lions in week 1, probably a 3:25 start. Now, yesterday there was there was a picture that came out that had the Ravens at the Packers Monday night to open up week 1. However, it's looking like it'll probably be Detroit. I'm trying to see. It looks like it will be at home because Thanksgiving's in Detroit. So, yeah, they'll be at home a 3:25. Outside of that, whereas I believe we also have week 16 game. Again, it'll be a Saturday night. That's Saturday at Soldier Field. So 18 is still up. They haven't really decided on week 18 yet on if the Packers are going to play the Bears or Vikings stand this season. I know week 18 is usually a divisional week. How last year went, it looked like the last 3 weeks of the season were pretty divisional for pretty much the whole NFL. So if we go off of that, I would assume Bears, Vikings, and Bears again, or maybe, that would be what I'd say for 16 through 18. That's pretty much the only option. Now, if it's at Bears, at Vikings, home against the Bears, or at the Bears, home against the Vikings, we still have to figure out. But as of as of recently, about 5 o'clock, that's all we have. We do have the Christmas games. Luckily, the Packers are not on that. But the week before Christmas, I will say that is a Saturday Saturday night game against the Bears at Soldier Field. That will be a doubleheader with the Eagles and Commanders starting that off. Also, just to note, because they are a division team, the Black Friday game is going to be the Bears and the Eagles in Philadelphia. Luckily, we don't have to go to Spain. I did think, just to note, I thought it was weird. The Vikings they're going to play in Dublin, Ireland, week 4, and they're going to be the road team. Then week 5, they're going to play in London against the Browns and be the road team again. So I thought that was a little strange, as I thought if you had back-to-back weeks overseas that you would have one road, one home. So getting 2 road games at a neutral site stadium for the Vikings, that's something especially if they're going to compete this year, that's something to monitor as well for the Packers, just because now they do have their true home games and didn't lose one while going overseas. So they have 2 neutral games now. So they're losing 2 disadvantages. And one of those games is against the Steelers in Ireland. Now, that's definitely a notable disadvantage for, I guess, everyone, because going to Pittsburgh is a different type of animal, no matter if they have Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph or, I don't know, a bag of socks throwing the ball. Going to Pittsburgh is definitely a different atmosphere. So playing in Ireland at a neutral site stadium, and you don't know if you're going to have a lot of Vikings fans traveling, a lot of Steelers fans there, neutral, just people wanting to see a good game. I guess against the Browns, it doesn't really matter because it's the Browns. I don't expect them to be good again this year either. I don't think Shedeur is going to be the quarterback right out the jump his rookie year. If they go Dylan Gabriel, which I can't believe they're going to, especially with the media hype. But that game for the Vikings is probably a win. But I just thought that was interesting and needed to be noted. Outside of that, I haven't really seen anything really of note. Packers-Steelers game is going to be in Pittsburgh, but they have not announced that yet. If I was assuming that they were going to wait until Rodgers. They wanted to see if Rodgers was going to sign with the Steelers before they announced the schedule. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, though, there's been reports that he got married, and then all of a sudden he was seen without the ring on. So we have no idea if he got married secretly or if he was engaged. We don't know. There is going to be a game streamed exclusively on YouTube. It's a free, obviously YouTube free video. Now that is different compared to YouTube TV, but it is going to be streamed on regular YouTube, where we're also streamed on. So you can watch it just like you're watching me right now for free. You can watch this game. It's going to be the Chargers playing the Chiefs in Brazil, just like what the Packers did last year. Hopefully they fix the field for that game. Otherwise, YouTube is not going to be fun. Also to note, they had a miles travel pop-up. And so Adam Schefter had tweeted this out for miles travel. This says 32 NFL teams will travel 625,947 miles this season. Some interesting notes. So Detroit is fourth least with 11,411 miles traveled. The Bears are fifth least with 12,522. And the Packers are seventh least with 12,929 miles traveled. And then the Vikings are in the middle at 19,319. That's interesting to note just because, you would look at that and say, okay, the Packers should have an advantage there. Well, they really don't, because Chicago, as they win every offseason, they don't really perform during the season, but the Packers had trouble with them last year along with the rest of the division. Them not having as many miles with Caleb Williams probably going into a sophomore year, but again, the sophomore slump is a real thing. So hopefully that's positive news for the Packers and for me, because I like to see the Bears lose every game. Along with the Vikings, and now the Lions as well, just because that helps. Lions I never really cared about. But the Lions, who are supposed to be a very, very good team, get Aiden Hutchinson back, improve the defense. Did lose both coordinators, but they will travel fourth least. Only Baltimore, Buffalo, and Cincinnati will travel less miles this year. So I thought that was something to note as well. Outside of that, I don't really have too many other schedule announcements that I've seen. Outside, it looks like Eagles Cowboys are going to start the NFL season on Thursday, September 4th, which is going to be different because usually it's not a division rivalry game, but that is that. But as of Aaron Rodgers, we have no idea. Packers are traveling to Pittsburgh. So I assume this game is probably going to just slot into a Sunday night or a Monday night slot, just as anticipation for Rodgers going to Pittsburgh. And if he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, that game's going to get flexed. But we're gonna get back in this, jump on this, talk about some Jeff Hafley. I spoke to the media a couple days ago about Jair Alexander. We'll discuss what was talked about. Some words, some thoughts that I had on what Jeff Hafley had to say as well, and some things that the Packers are planning to do with not only their new corner, but also some draft picks, undrafted player as well, and then possible trade. I don't know. We'll see after the break. You're listening to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Hi, esports radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, welcome back, everyone, to the Wisconsin Whistle and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So Jeff Hafley had spoke on the Jair Alexander situation. He was asked a couple days ago when he was speaking to the media. The thing that I didn't like was his comment. He says, I think we'll leave that one up to see what happens rather than talking any hypotheticals. So basically, what I took from that was he has no idea if Jair is coming back. But again, he said, we'll see what happens rather than talking any hypotheticals. Well, currently, Jair Alexander is on the roster. He's paid right now by the Green Bay Packers under contract and is a Green Bay Packer. So right now, the only hypothetical is if he's going to get traded or get cut. Outside of that, he is a Green Bay Packer, and he should be expected to suit up week 1. He should be healthy. He should be at training camp, mandatory OTAs. He should be at all this stuff, unless he's holding out or whatever the case is. But he should be there practicing with the Green Bay team. So there isn't a hypothetical on that. He's here. The only hypothetical is he getting traded or cut? That would be a hypothetical. Outside of that, the response should have been, he's here. He's a Green Bay Packer as of today. We're going to treat him as a Green Bay Packer until otherwise, and that's how we're going to move forward. Now, what they're saying, what Jeff Hafley at least is saying, is leading me to believe that, the Packers are looking to trade him, or they're looking to move him in some form, cut, whatever the case is. I definitely believe that him getting moved would be the best idea. And now there's a team that I definitely think we should look at moving him to. That team is Cincinnati. Cincinnati had horrible rankings again this year for treatment of family, facilities, I think food and dining or something. Their owner was a C, in the C range, which is one of the worst. I wonder if I had that written down. I don't think so, but one of the worst in the league. Want to see if I had that written down anywhere, but he was one of the worst owners in the league, rating wise. Most of them did not receive C's, stuff like that. But so the Cincinnati Bengals ended up giving money under, a very small, I think not signing, but like a appearance bonus or something that's not usually given two players that were drafted first round, Shamir Stewart. So they kind of lowballed him, which isn't a good sign for the rest of the team if you're lowballing a rookie who never played a snap for you and you're supposed to be a future. Also, drafting an edge guy with Trey Hendrickson needing a new contract gives a little sign of concern in Cincinnati. I think that should open up the league as well to phoning the Bengals and saying, hey, we want Trey, what's it going to take? And I think, just as Gutekunst being the GM and operating, what's going on back and forth and stuff, you have to ask, what's going on with Trey? What's it gonna take to get Trey Hendrickson? Do we need to move, do we need draft picks? What is it gonna take? Now, I don't think that Lucas Van Ness, I heard that name get thrown around this morning on the Mason Crosby show. They were talking about possibly Lucas Van Ness, but that's just not going to be enough, which I definitely agree with. You can't – Lucas Van Ness, you should keep. I'll get to that later. You definitely should keep, I think, Lucas Van Ness, especially if you want to get four guys to the QB without blitzing. You should probably keep Van Ness, especially with him, not only, the four guys, but him developing as well. I think he played very, very, very well at Iowa. I think he could do a lot of things for the Packers. There was times where he would play and then all of a sudden, he made a big play that he's sitting on the bench, disappeared in games just because they sat him, different stuff like that. So, I wouldn't trade him. You can't trade Rashawn Gary because that would be now you have the double edges, Gary and Hendrickson. If you do get Hendrickson, plus the Bengals drafted Shamor Stewart. So why would they want Rashawn Gary, another big high-paying guy, if they're trying to cut payroll? But I think Jair would be a fantastic fit for the Bengals. Just watching football last year, I watched pretty much every game. Red zone. If I count the red zone, I watch every game. If you don't count the red zone, then I watch every national broadcasted game, and then I watch the red zone as well every Sunday, all Sunday. So, but I consider that me watching every single game. I see enough where I know exactly what went on for most of the game, including on Twitter, all the highlights, and then sometimes I will watch film breakdowns and everything like that as well. But the Bengals secondary is not good. They did bring in Al Golden to try to help that, but they need secondary help. You can't have Joe Burrow going out there and throwing, 400, 500 yards with 5 touchdowns and still, it's a 3-point game. That's not good longevity. That's not a way to win a lot of games. I know they did just sign T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to huge contracts, but you send Jair Alexander over to Cincinnati, say, hey, here's one of the best corners in the league when he's healthy and on the field. Take a flyer on him, especially you don't have to pay Trey Hendrickson. Jair's already under contract. And, you could throw in a draft pick or two or whatever. But I think that even trade right there would be pretty nice. I think that would definitely fix a lot of problems. The Packers did not address edge, whereas they did not address edge until Baron Sorrell in round 4. They drafted a linebacker, Colin Oliver, in round 5. Round 6 had a D lineman in Warren Brinson. But outside of that, there was no true edge guy, I'd say. True guy that could really get home like a Trey Hendrickson. Drafted somebody in round 4. I would never expect him to come in week 1 and dominate. I expect him to, get into rhythm by week 6, week 7, and pretty much be a nice fill-in for the year. I don't expect a round 4 pick to vie for Defensive Player of the Year. I think Baron Sorrell, because he was at the draft, he's playing with Matthew Golden, who he played with at college. I think he's going to have a very, very nice career. I think he's going to come in ready to play. But again, you're comparing a round 4 rookie draft pick to Trey Hendrickson, who's been known as one of the most, vicious defensive lineman edge in the league in recent years, and getting sacks and getting to the quarterback. So bringing him in, that automatically changes the entire front 7, entire front 4 with the Packers. You could literally leave Rashawn Gary and Trey Hendrickson to rush the quarterback, and you're in there immediately. Another name that came up was Quay Walker, as a possibility of trading him over to Cincinnati as well in this, which I wouldn't be opposed to. However, if it's Jair or Quay Walker, I'd rather try to work a contract out with Quay Walker, even though the fifth year option was declined. I think that's why his name was brought up. You can move him if you don't want to pay him. I assume he's going to want to get paid more than what the 5th year option was. So, you can move him if they don't want Jair in an injury problem. However, I think the Packers did decline Quay just because they want to work on a nice contract. They don't want to lock him into something under market and then deal with, all the backlash that comes behind that. But going back to Jair Alexander, if the Packers do not have him this year, they do think that Nate Hobbs is going to fill in so many words in what they said. Their special teams coach, the name is escaping me, but their special teams coach, who did coach in Vegas while Nate Hobbs was there, and I believe he was part of that drafting of Nate Hobbs for the Raiders. You'd have to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe he was part of that. He had just great things to say about Nate Hobbs, how he's very physical. He's not like an overly big guy when you see him, but he plays like he's huge, very aggressive, runs to the ball, could cover well. He was great on special teams, fast. But apparently, from what I've been hearing, is that he's more of like a inside guy, plays in the nickel, slot corner more so. And the Packers, Jeff Hafley, including the special. I'm looking up his name right now because this is ridiculous that it hasn't come to me yet. But Rich Bisaccia, sorry, Jesus. Rich Bisaccia also, said that he can play pretty much everywhere in the secondary, including, if they need to safety, but I don't believe that'll happen. But he's going to play inside and out this year. That's what they expect. Now, if you're going to play him out, that means Jair's not going to play. I assume they're talking about, Nate Hobbs is going to play outside with Nixon just because, if you don't have Jair, you don't need, Nate Hobbs is going to have to play somewhere. You're going to have to fill that outside role. Do you trust Valentine to play outside as well? I don't know. And then you're going to need someone to also play slot, which, you could have Valentine. You have other options as well to play, different positions in that secondary there. So if you're going to play Nate Hobbs both in and out, I guess, let's say Jair is not there. You have Valentine that's going to play, Valentine, Nixon. You have Hobbs. You have Javon Bullard that could also is more so a nickelback. Kalen King is also on the depth chart. Evan Williams and McKinney are probably locked into the safety spot. Micah Robinson has jumped up on the depth chart according to ESPN. No, last I saw him, he was third behind Isaiah Dunn. Now he's moved up. That's just pretty much how it's going to look. Linebacker does look a little, I'd say a little weak. They have Colin Oliver listed as a defensive end. When he was drafted, he was listed as a linebacker. So I'm thinking they're going to probably view him more as a defensive end edge guy that could also play linebacker as well. I would probably move him to linebacker if that's what he's listed. That's what he played. Because, the front is pretty locked in. You have Van Ness, Rashawn Gary on the edge, and then you have Clark and Watt up the middle. However, a guy who I did mention, Micah Robinson, who has great ball skills. Well, there's another guy, undrafted free agent named Jonathan Baldwin. Now, he's listed as fourth in the strong safety depth chart rankings. I definitely believe he's going to move up those because the Packers gave him it was quoted as what's believed as the most guaranteed money to an undrafted Packer ever. So if you're giving him huge guaranteed money as an undrafted draft pick, an undrafted free agent, pretty sure that he's going to get some playing time and be up on that depth chart and make this roster this year. Otherwise, you just kind of threw money down the drain and wasted your time with that. Some positives about him, though. He plays safety nickel. He's very physical. He comes up in the run game and plays really well with that. He has very good ball skills, which is also what Micah Robinson was praised about as well. So that's definitely going to be a big name to watch. Jonathan Baldwin, see how he moves around on the depth chart. They do still have Zane Anderson, Keaton Oladapo as well, Caleb Hayes, Tyron Herring's still out there in corner, way deep. He's just a sleeper guy. Kamal Hayden is another guy, probably he might make the roster. I'm not sure. Kalen King, again, nickelback. He could float over there to safety as well. So Micah Robinson, from what I've heard, you could float him to safety. Micah Robinson is listed as a corner, though. Jonathan Baldwin. Now, from what I've read, they look at him more as a corner, but I guess because he's listed as a safety, that's why the depth chart has it like that. Speaking of some stuff, the Packers, I see there's another drop. Came through about an hour ago. The Packers will play Cleveland week 3. It's according to an ex post from Nerding on NFL at Nerding on NFL. It's going to be following a short week against the Commanders, so they'll have an extended weekend to prepare for the Cleveland Browns. They did win 27-21 last year, or last played in Cleveland late in 2017, winning 27-21 in overtime. So it's been some years since we went to Cleveland. Again, Cleveland is not really. I'm not scared of Cleveland at all. I think that the Packers should have no problems with Cleveland, run right through them. Even if they do have Shedeur playing very well, or if Cleveland does have, Joe Flacco or anybody at quarterback, I don't really think that Cleveland's is going to be a very big test. If you are coming against off the Commanders game, though, that will be a nice rebound game just to get yourself back in rhythm and everything like that. That apparently came at about 5:30. So outside of that, I haven't seen any other schedule updates. But if I see any that come through, I will let you know pretty much as soon as they come through. But right now, that's, like I said, what we've all done. I don't see any others right now outside of, So week 13, the Packers against the Lions, like I spoke about earlier, and then starting off the season against the Lions. Also to note, the Packers signed wide receiver Jadon Janke, I believe. He played with Tucker Kraft in college. So that's a guy the Packers just added to the roster. It's Jaden Yankee. So they just signed him. He's 6'2", 212. He's a first-year player from South Dakota State. He originally signed to the Texans as an undrafted free agent last year, about May 10th, and he was released in training camp, then spent the rest of camp with the Dolphins before being released. He had 170 receptions for 2,800 yards and 29 touchdowns at South Dakota State. He also had 4 carries for 18 yards and a touchdown, but he did return kicks. 23 kickoffs, 446 yards, 183 yards, and a touchdown on 16 punt returns. He's going to be listed as number 82 going into camp. Also, another thing that went through is QB Taylor Elgersma. So he's a guy that actually we're looking forward to. I think the Packers definitely should give him a full chance because he was drafted in the CFL draft 18th overall, which was the second round, by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So he's from Canada. He's 6'5", 227. He's there as a tryout player at rookie minicamp. So they ended up picking him up. Played 4 seasons at Wilfrid Laurier. I don't know how to pronounce that. Laurier University. He appeared at 41 games, had 793 completions, 70.7% completion rating, 257.2 yards per game, which was over 10,500 yards, 78 touchdowns, 38 interceptions, had 127 carries for 605 yards and 18 scores. He did earn the Heck Crichton Award as the most outstanding player in U Sports football, was the UTEC Bowl Nike Offensive Player of the Game, Yates Cup Most Valuable Player, 2-time MVP of Ontario University Athletics, earned a spot on 2023-24 U Sports All-Canadian second team, and he was an OUA first team All-Star, which is the Ontario University Athletics first team All-Star. So this is a big name, especially from Canada, that's coming to the Packers. I assume he's going to start in training camp as the number 3 guy. I believe also he's going to make the roster as the 3rd quarterback. I believe that, what the Packers do have right now at QB, Malik Willis is pretty much locked in, but Sean Clifford, I think you could just wipe off. You could say that he's probably, if at best, practice squad. I don't think he's going to make it past the first cut. maybe he makes it past the first and lasts to the second, but I think Sean Clifford's probably going to be out, especially if Elgersma is lives up to hype. He might actually compete with Malik Willis for that second in command behind Jordan Love. Also, with the Packers, you always need that backup quarterback because your confidence in Jordan Love is not fully there that he could complete an entire season. He's going to miss a game or two. He missed multiple games last year where Malik Willis stepped in. He even got hurt in the playoffs. He got hurt in week 1. It's Malik Willis did step in and stepped in nicely, but right now with Jordan Love, outside of when you had Rodgers or when you had Brett Favre, you didn't really need a backup QB. Now you really need that backup QB because Jordan Love's, I'm not confident he could play full 17 game slate. I think he'll definitely miss a game or two going on there. Back to the schedule, Ralph said, "Good evening, Dan. I have the Steelers Packers October 28th, Sunday night." And then he said, "Could be one of the most anticipated games of the year if Aaron Rodgers is the Steelers quarterback." I definitely agree. That would be probably the biggest game for the NFL with Aaron Rodgers. I believe that game would be coming back to Green Bay. So that would be Aaron Rodgers' first time back in Green Bay since he left. How he would be received by the Packers would be enormous. The media talking points would be huge. The entire not only the entire week, but the entire season leading up to that. Every game he plays for the Steelers up until that game is going to be heavily criticized and talked about. They're going to keep saying it. The Packers, for the city of Green Bay, that game would probably be enormous. Not only because it's Aaron Rodgers coming back, but there's kind of some animosity towards Aaron Rodgers. We're very grateful for what he did with the Packers, but how he kind of left. With me, I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers. I appreciate everything that he did for the Packers. I still root for his success wherever he goes. I think he's a very genuine guy where, he does have his beliefs, whether you think they're off the wall or not. That's everyone's opinions, just like his beliefs are his opinions as well. However, I think because he does stand on his opinions, I have a lot of respect for him. He's a very private guy as well. No matter how weird or odd or strange he is or ayahuasca trips he takes, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's one of a kind. He is him. And he's probably the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen, regardless of highlights, replays, that I've physically got to watch. And that was a blessing to watch him my entire, basically, childhood, see a Super Bowl won by him as well. So it was really bittersweet that he left. I didn't really like how he left either. I watched his Netflix documentary, the 3-part series, and him and Favre was known. They kind of batted heads as well. I believe from everything I've heard with Jordan Love, him and Rodgers got along pretty well, besides Rodgers being pissed off that they drafted Jordan Love with the first round pick. I believe it was first round out of Utah State. So, anybody would have been, but I guess Rodgers was always looking for Favre's leadership and everything, and Favre's nightmare. I know a lot of Packer fans and I know a lot of NFL people are like, why wouldn't you like Favre? He was great. He did this and that. I liked him when he played. The last 4 seasons, his continued saga of, am I going to retire? Am I going to stay? It just got old. Everyone was sick of it. And then he kind of had a tantrum when the Packers drafted Rodgers and came back, and they kept doing it. And then his big MO was going to the Vikings. He really wanted to go to the Vikings to get back at the Packers. That was the whole big thing. And his demise in New Orleans, I believe it was, and him not going anywhere with the Vikings was fantastic to see. So it was funny that Rodgers also went to the Jets because you thought, okay, he's going to go to the Vikings as well. But Rodgers is a different guy. So him coming back to Green Bay is probably going to be huge. A lot of mixed feelings from Packer fans. along with it. It's a Steelers game. They travel. You have probably the two biggest fan bases in the NFL outside of the Cowboys and 49ers, and now Chiefs and Patriots, because, people always have to root for the winners, because I guess they're losing at life, so they have to pick the winners in sports. I'm not a bandwagon jumper, and my personal belief on bandwagon jumping, I'll just say it now. I feel like if you're bandwagon jumping onto winning teams and then you keep switching, you're a Tom Brady fan with the Patriots, and while they're high and mighty, you're rooting for them. Well, now all of a sudden you're a Patrick Mahomes fan and rooting with the Chiefs high and mighty. I just think that you're probably losing somewhere, and I would say that you're losing either at life or, just low self-confidence or something of that sort, where you have to just jump on winning teams. If you're a true Chiefs fan or a true Patriots fan and you're still sticking with the teams, whether they're bad or good, or if you're, a Cowboys fan and you grew up when they were really good and now you're still sticking with them, even during tough times and everything, I applaud that because you're a true fan. But if you're just jumping from good team to good team, I don't respect that. I also believe if you, follow a player around, I'm not a big fan of that either. I think you really should have a team, and if you don't have a team, pick one. If they're really good, okay, but if that's how you want to start, pick a really good team. If they start doing really bad, don't jump off, but be that same fan you were when they were really good. But I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup there. I really look forward to this Steelers-Packers game. I really hope October 28th, Sunday night, would be the game. A Sunday night game for that would be fantastic. I might actually go up there for that game if I can. I know tickets are going to be high, but I might go up there for that just because I grew up with Rodgers, so seeing just him one last time, whether it's in a Packer uniform or not, would probably just be, really special and mean a whole lot to me. Just based off my childhood of watching the Packers, as the Packers have been my favorite. By far, I would watch the Packers over everything. I pretty much shut down when it's football. If football's on, that's what I'm on. I don't want to do anything else. It's football, and Packers is number one for me. So that game's going to be huge. I'm surprised that they haven't announced that game yet. I'm actually really shocked they haven't announced anything with that game. Usually by now, too, they would have announced some, they would have leaked some stuff out. But, it should be dropping within a couple minutes. I've been, honestly, while I've been on the show, I've been looking up on Twitter just to see if I could see any more schedule announcements. I haven't, outside of just like little stuff and stuff like that. But teams signing some players or whatever. But another note, we'll say it was over. It was in the news recently. So, John Ryan, he was supposed to get a $2 million bonus for playing in 35% of snaps, I believe, or 34% of snaps. But he was supposed to get a $2 million bonus, and he actually missed it by 2 snaps. And the problem with that, Sean Ryan, sorry, I called him John. What an idiot. The problem with that is actually he was injured. I believe this season he missed a game. And that's pretty here's the article. So it missed out on a $2 million raise by 2 snaps. Basically, had he been on the field for 2 additional plays at any point in the first 3 NFL seasons, he would have qualified for the Proven Performance Accelerator. That meant that his base salary would have went from $3.406 million, would have jumped to $3.406 million rather than the $1,363,571. So that's $2,042,429 he missed because he did not hit 35% mark of the snaps played, and that's in Article 7, Section 4 of the NFL's collective bargaining agreement. Basically, because that that section states that in rounds 3 through 7, Ryan was a third-round pick in 22. It says it participated in a minimum of 35% of his club's offensive or defensive snaps in any 2 of his first 3 regular season, or participated in a cumulative average of at least 35% of club's offense and defensive plays over the first 3 regular seasons. Then they'd qualify for a raise, which is basically equal to a restricted free agent tender. So basically, they broke down in the article that I read earlier. They broke down. So in his rookie season, he played in 1 game, but he did not play a snap on offense or defense. He played a snap in special teams, which doesn't count. So that's nothing. Packers did have 1,094 offensive plays that year. In 2023, he played 183 snaps out of 1,096 plays. That's both at right and left guard in a backup role mainly. So that's 16.7%. Last season, he was a starter, 961 out of 1,082, which is 88.8. Now, the Packers stated that they thought he was at 35.03%. They thought that, they used Pro Football Reference snap counts, which are not used by the NFL or NFLPA. And if they were, it listed Ryan at a 1,146 out of 3,272, which is at a 35.003% mark. That's where they said that they had him at. However, he came in at 34.952%. Because he played 1,144 out of the 3,272 offensive snaps for the Packers the last 3 seasons. Now, unfortunately, he can't. They just can't pay him out that. It's all cap related. Now, if somebody writes him a check for $2 million and just hands it to him, that's them. But the Packers cannot legally, according to the NFL, write out that check because he did miss those 2 snaps. Also, he did not play 8 snaps in the second quarter of Week 14 against Detroit. He left that game with a collision, but he did finish the game. So those 8 snaps added, right there. During the first half, he split snaps with Jordan Morgan, but Jordan Morgan was injured pretty quickly. So all those add up. His original contract, the 4 years, $5.12 million. It included a $905,000 signing bonus, but he lost $235,000 of that base salary as a rookie when he was suspended. But he was awarded $697,000 in additional compensation through the NFL's performance-based pay program. That was the 3rd highest team payout behind Rasheed Walker's $925 and Zach Tom's $849. So he did get a little extra money, but that incident did lead to another incident where Elton Jenkins is skipping the Packers workouts right now because of the contract situation and him moving to center full time. It says he doesn't have a problem with moving to center, but he would like the Packers to make it more financially stable for him to do so. He still has 2 years left on his 4-year, $68 million contract that he signed in December of 22. It basically designs him to pay. It's designed to pay him like he's a guard. Remaining in that area if he would play a tackle. That $17 million a year though is actually he's one of the highest paid centers in the league. If he played center, they make a lot less than guards or tackles. So if he would move to center, while he's scheduled to make $12.8 million this year, and then $20 million next year when he's 30, one more contract. If he is listed as a center, his contract significantly dropped down just because, he's not, I don't think he's going to be one of the best centers in the NFL. Also, Aaron Banks just signed that 4-year, $77 million deal to play left guard. So So, Stenovich, Adam Stenovich, offensive coordinator, said he thinks he's open to moving Jenkins around. The conversations we've had with him, he's got a lot of experience there, and he was open to it, excited about it, so he's ready to go. They asked, if the position switches, why he's not taking part in it. Stenovich also said no, he's not here for other reasons than that, which it makes sense for the money related. However, because he missed enough of the offseason program, he no longer qualifies for a $500,000 workout bonus. So if you're worried about money, you just toss $500,000 out. So I don't know if maybe he's waiting for the Packers to say, hey, you stick with us at center, we'll pay you like a guard. No idea how that is going to end up playing. But Gutekunst, his comments, he said, we had plenty of conversations with Elton leading up to this. Obviously played center in college. We feel he's got a good chance to be an all-pro center. We've talked a lot about it, how versatility plays into our offensive line, having guys can move around to different spots. Elton's one of those guys who could play all 5 spots, so he's a luxury. I'm excited to see what he could do at center as well. Jenkins did not comment. However, he's played at every position since 2019 when he was drafted in the 2nd round. So I'm thinking he's just looking for confirmation that he's going to be good to go with the next contract that comes out. Speaking of Gutekunst reaching out to players, Adam Schefter, while he botched Gutekunst's name while he was talking about this, he did mention that Jaden Reed, the Gutekunst reached out to Jaden Reed and mentioned that he's looked at right now as the top receiver for the Packers. They still value him considerably. Apparently he's bulked up. The passing game coordinator has said he bulked up to 199 pounds and is acting like the leader of the wide receiver room, which is all positive news as well. But yeah, apparently Schefter had tweeted out though that Gutekunst reached out to Jaden Reed and his agent, said, hey, don't worry about the draft. Don't worry about us drafting Savion Williams and Matthew Golden. We still value Jaden Reed completely. We still view him as one of the top backs in the or one of the top wide receivers for the Packers. So that is, I guess he had to reassure him. That's positive news. We'll get back. We'll talk a little bit more about the Bucks and the Brewers. You're listening to Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
How we doing, sports fans? This is Christian Harvey, your host of Gritsville, USA, your go-to show for all things Detroit and Michigan here on IE Sports Radio. Whether you're here for gritty Lions talk, getting pumped up for the great Detroit sports renaissance, or hating on your neighbor depending on if they were green or blue, we got you covered. Whether you're in the East, West, or Central, we got you covered. Join me as we tackle through all that the great state of Michigan has to offer in the world of sports. Catch me, Christian Harvey, each week on Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So, let me see if I can pull this up. I'm not sure if I can show this. I'm going to see if I can. But the schedule has been released. Let's see where it went. Oh, I don't even see it. So, anyway, I'll just say it as something to say quick. Let's see if I put this. Anyway, so the full schedule was released. We have the full schedule. Preseason is going to be the Jets at the Colts and the Seahawks. And then after that, we have the regular season starts up. So the regular season, like I said, starts with the Lions, 325. Yeah, I can't even. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I can't pull it up. I wanted to put it on the screen, but having issues with that. So the schedule is week 1, Detroit Lions at home. Week 2, Thursday night game, September 11th against the Commanders. So you have 2 very tough games in a 5-day stretch, 4-day really technically. But in the 5-day turnaround, you have the Lions at home and then the Commanders at home as well on Thursday night. Then after that, you have a long break. You play at Cleveland, week 3, the 21st. Week 4 at the Cowboys, and then you get a bye week coming into week 6. You have at home against the Bengals, which if you trade Jair for Trey, that will be a big game. Then week 7 at the Cardinals. Week 8 is at the Steelers. So that is actually, I was mistaken, that is a road game at in Pittsburgh. So I guess I don't know where Rodgers would have to go for him to come back to Green Bay. Nobody that we're playing is going to pick up Rodgers, at least coming to Green Bay. But that is going to be at the Steelers week 8. So this right here, October 28th, Sunday night. Day was, it's October 26th, which is fine. But Ralph called it. It will be week 8, Sunday, October 26th at the Steelers. Week 9 against the Panthers, that's a noon game. I knew that was going to be a noon game. The Browns are a noon game as well. Sunday night, actually, I missed that. Week 4 is Sunday night at the Cowboys, Sunday night football there. Then week 5, obviously, the bye. Week 6 and 7 are both 3:25 starts. Week 8 at the Steelers, that's Sunday night. Week 9 against the Panthers, that's going to be a noon game. Week 10 is going to be that home game against Philly on Monday night. Then you have at the Giants, week 11, noon game. Sunday is going to be a noon game against the Vikings at home. Week 13, which is Thanksgiving. So here's that other 5-day stretch that the Packers are going to unfortunately have, is against the Vikings and then at the Lions on Thanksgiving morning at 11. The week after that, week 14, Sunday, extended break before the Bears game at home. That's a noon game. Then you have week 15 at the Broncos, which is going to be 3:25 start, afternoon game. Obviously, that's in Denver, so that's makes a whole lot of sense for that. Week 16, Saturday, is going to be at the Bears. They have the time listed at 3:30 or 7 p.m., so either one is going to be that game. They might have the first or the second. They're leaving that for flex. Week 17 is going to be at home against the Ravens. That's probably going to be a huge game. But that is right now listed out the schedule as Saturday or Sunday, to be determined on the time of kickoff and the network, along with the final week 18 game at the Vikings. That could be either Saturday or Sunday, January 3rd or 4th. Again, no time or TV network for those either. So that's the schedule. It's pretty all right. I'm okay with this schedule. I like that we start off with the Lions. Last year we sucked. We were awful against we won one game by a blocked field goal in the division. Outside of that, we were complete ass against the division. So starting the season off right away at home, not at home 2 games here against 2 very, very good teams in the Lions and the Commanders, is really going to kick some ass into the Packers offense, defense, and the whole team to get this team rolling. So they need to come out hot and ready week 1 and 2, especially where you know, it sucks that you start the season off like this, but you started off with 2 games in 5 days. Then you get a 10-day break, or 11th to the 21st, but you get a break, and then you're at Cleveland, a noon game. That you should easily win. You're at the Cowboys, which, again, that's like Lambeau 2 down there. So Sunday night football game, that should be good. I'm expecting a nice blowout. Again, big high scoring, 50-20 or something like that. That would be great on Sunday night. Make everyone go to sleep happy. Then the bye week is early, one of the earliest bye weeks for the Packers, which, again, I'm not a big fan of. I like a bye week right in the middle, or towards the end a little bit, to rest up for the postseason. So after those 4 games, we get an early bye, and the rest of the season is going to be a grind. It's going to be a lot. But you have the Bengals at home. That will be a really fun game. Obviously, Cincinnati's offense is explosive. Then you're in Arizona, which Arizona is a feisty team. Every year they pull out wins out of their ass. I mean, they just pull out wins out of a hat. It's just, boop, here's a win. So that's always a team to watch. At Pittsburgh, because it is in Pittsburgh, that's definitely going to be a tough challenge regardless of who's at quarterback. If Rodgers is there, they just did trade George Pickens, though, to the Cowboys, which I don't know. I don't think that really changes Dallas's offense too much. But Pittsburgh is a different team. You're going to see a different team out there, but they do have that defense, and it is in Pittsburgh, which is a different animal to play in. They play AFC North tough football. So that's going to be a tough game regardless, but that's Sunday night, so that'll be a fun game. Panthers, they were looking pretty all right, especially after Bryce Young got benched. So I expect a nice rebound year for them. So that game's not a slouch either. Especially last year, the Packers almost lost to the Panthers when they shouldn't have. So that's a highlight. Rebound game at home from last season. You need to take care of business there. Then they play the Eagles. They lost last year twice to them, so they're playing them at home. I know that's going to be a really nice revenge game for the Packers, especially the Eagles are made a lot of changes on defensive line. And, they have their two corners going through sophomore seasons. So at home, Monday night, that's going to be a huge game. The Giants, that's going to be an interesting game because they're kind of revamping the team. They just drafted Abdul Carter. They drafted their quarterback of the future, Jackson Dart, whether he starts or Russell Wilson starts, or however that goes. That will be interesting. That will be an interesting game, though. That's a noon game. Then you got the Vikings again. The Vikings for the first time in Week 12 Again, then you have that 5-day stretch at the Lions for Thanksgiving. Last time the Packers played on Thanksgiving against the Lions, Packers played very nicely and won. That was a fun game to watch. So I'm expecting, Packers to pull something out here as well. But that 2 games in 5 days, twice on the schedule is really rough, especially there right in the middle of that long second half stretch after the bye week. That's going to be tough. And then you loop around to having a home game against the Bears with an extended break. In Denver is going to be another tough game as well, just because Denver is, I think Denver has a very nice team. Their corners are going to be very solid. It's going to be tough to throw against them. They got Bo Nix that could dump a gun. That's going to be a tough team. They improved their offense. That's definitely going to be a tough game. Then you're at the Bears again, which is that Saturday before Christmas game. Again, how the Packers played against the Bears last year is going to just be a tough challenge completely. At home against the Ravens. The Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL. Whether that's a Saturday or Sunday game, either plays like they're a regular season week to week, Sunday to Sunday game. If they play Saturday, or you get that little extra day, a little extra boost and rest, which is definitely going to be well needed. Especially with that gruesome 5-day stretch from Sunday, November 23rd to Thanksgiving. And then, you end the season in Minnesota, which if the Packers are in it and the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy, turn out really nicely and J.J. is just able to pick up and run and gun just like how they expect, that's going to be probably a deciding game for the NFC North, or just, a wild card slot if the Lions run away with the division again and go 15-2. Right now, looking at this schedule, just my knee-jerk reaction prediction. Obviously, before the season, I'll have an entire show on just the Packers. I pretty much talked the Packers for an hour plus now, but right now I'm saying probably say 11-6. That would be my knee-jerk reaction right now without dissecting everything. I think week 1, I think they could come out with a win at home. I'm going to give the Packers a win at home against the Lions week 1, loss at home to the Commanders, so that's 1-1. Wins the next 2 weeks, so that's 3-1. Bengals, I'm going to say a win just because the Bengals defense. Now, Trey coming here, that's going to change up things. Jair going out there healthy, stuff changes up. Injuries obviously change things up, but I think we could beat the Bengals as 4-1. Cardinals, Pittsburgh, 6. Panthers used to win, but I think one of Arizona, Pittsburgh, or Carolina, you're going to lose one of those games. So I'll say 6-2 on that. Loss against the Eagles, unfortunately, 6-3. Probably a win against the Giants, 7-3. Vikings at home. I'm going to say we lose at home to the Vikings, so 7-4. Lose on Thanksgiving, 7-5. Beat the Bears at home, 8-5. Lose against the Broncos, so I'm going to say that's 8-6. And I think you can win out. There's some other games too. About 10-7, 11-6, because you have the Ravens at Vikings last game of the season. If you've already solidified your playoff, you'll probably just toss that last game away. You got to start out the season hot though. For Packer fans, how this gold package works. I know people still have gold package season tickets and stuff. So that used to be when the Packers played in Milwaukee at County Stadium. So that's going to be the Commanders and Eagles games, Thursday night and a Monday night game, big games for the gold package. So if you have those, you lucked out this year. But that's definitely I'm saying about 10-7, 11-6. Now, if the Packers just turn on fire, Jordan Love is a MVP number guy. This offense is clicking. The wide receivers are clicking. The defense, we have a great pass rush. Everything clicks how it's supposed to. I could see a 12-5. But this schedule, I'm really looking at about 10-7, 11-6 at best. 10-7 is more likely. I could even see a 9-8 just based on the schedule. I mean, if teams play like how they did last year, I could definitely see a 10 and I'm going to say right now 10-6. That's my Packers schedule. I did want to cover a couple other things that I will go over briefly before I wrap up the show. So Giannis has said that he's open to looking at different teams. He's open-minded, were the quotes. Some teams that have been rumored, Spurs. I'm going to need the first 2 draft picks this year from the Spurs, number 2 and number 14, and I'm going to need that rookie of the year. That's how I'm rolling with that one. If you're not giving that up, I'm going to look at the Mavericks as well, or I'm just going to look at teams that probably aren't going to be very, very good for the next couple of years. Because if you line up, future draft picks and just look at getting like Steven Castle and stuff like that and players, you trade Giannis to the Spurs. The Spurs are winning a championship in the next 3 years, 3 to 5 years. Next 3 years, I'd say by far. If you don't get Castle, they're definitely winning a championship in the next 3 years. Wemby and Giannis on the court together is just that's insane. You have a 7'5" guy that can shoot threes, dribble the ball up. Then you have Giannis, who's unstoppable, driving to the rim. With him and Wemby, they could just sit down. One guy could sit down low. I'm choking thinking about that. That I don't want to watch that. That's not something I want to see happen. Honestly, I'd probably trade Giannis to a team that I know is going to be bad for a while. Jazz, Pelicans, stuff like that. I'm traded. Just I need draft picks to rebuild this roster. Also, if you're going to look at trading, call up Nico Harrison of the Mavericks. Get that first pick. You got Cooper Flagg. You got your next Giannis replacement right there. You also opened up a shit ton of cap space. You can go after whoever you want, basically. Maybe go after Durant, just as a throwaway. I don't know. But no, for real, you open up a lot of cap space, trading Giannis and stuff, getting Cooper Flagg, just building around him as well. You got to re-sign Trent, figure out with that. Pat Connaughton's probably re-signing his player option. Bobby Portis, he might come back. He was talking about, I don't know if the Bucks want me back. Well, you have a player option. You determine that. Porter Jr. coming back. Trent's got to come back. Lopez, you got to get rid of. Goodbye. Dame's not going to play. So, Bucks definitely have some things to do with that, but that's definitely something to keep your eyes on. I don't think the Bucks, this is my personal belief. If you listen to any media anywhere, including in Milwaukee, they think the Bucks are going to trade Giannis, and a lot think that they should. I'm sticking with Giannis. You have to stick with Giannis, and I'd say build around him, revamp the team, get rid of Lopez, get all the aging guys out. Yes, you're going to rebuild for a year or two, but once Lillard's contract's off the books, because I would not re-sign him, I'd let him walk in free agency in the next 2 years. You could really jump in there and grab some good players. But yeah, I would really stick with Giannis and leave him as a building block and just stick his career out. If he wants to leave in 2 years and doesn't want to re-sign or doesn't want to hit that super max or anything again with the Bucks, so be it. But for these next 2 years, I'm trying to win a championship again before we could possibly lose Giannis to free agency. So I'm going all board, not trading him or keeping him aligned in here. Speaking of injuries that we did talk about with Jair, injured and stuff, the Brewers injuries. So it was announced today, Jose Quintana, he was pushed back. He was supposed to start today. Earlier in the week, it was announced his start was pushed back to Saturday because he had a cranky arm, I guess. He's now been placed on the 15-day injured list. I always want to say disabled list, so I'm just going to keep saying it. 15-day disabled list. So he will be out for 15 days. Another player who was supposed to come back is Brandon Woodruff. He had that 2.1 innings pitched outing at AAA Nashville in his final rehab start. And it was initially reported that was a scheduled outing. That was a scheduled length that he was going to pitch before he was coming into Milwaukee, and he was supposed to start on Saturday, I believe. However, he got put on the 7-day injured list with an ankle injury. Now, there were some rumors that Brewers were not ready for him to come back yet, needed a little bit of time to get him back on the roster, so they said this. However, Pat Murphy and some others clarified that he tried to pitch through the ankle injury in that 2 1/3 innings outing or rehab outing, and he just couldn't, and they don't want to take the chance of bringing him up and off a serious shoulder injury where he missed a season and a half or more, and have him throw with all arm with an ankle injury. Also, in his rehab outing, his fastball averaged at 90 with 88, 87s thrown in there. His sinker was at 90 average as well, which are both way down from, I believe, like 94, 95 average consistently for him. So that was of note as well. You could tell that something was bothering him for that. So Logan Henderson was called up. He pitched today. He pitched great. Honestly, Logan Henderson, I didn't think that he should have been dropped. I mean, optioned after his first start was fantastic. However, Logan Henderson, if I could find it, he pitched today and only allowed 3 runs today. 11 innings pitched in his 2 career starts with 16 Ks. Only 3 earned, a 2.45 ERA, and that's coming after that first game where he only had, I believe, 1 earned, and just looked very confident. And again, he looked very confident as well today. I think this guy needs to stay up in this lineup. Even if you get D.L. Hall back, Brandon Woodruff, Jose Quintana, they come back, I think you should probably keep Logan Henderson in that rotation. You do have Freddie Peralta. Tobias Myers was called up as well. Now, this is interesting. So Tobias Myers, I'm in basketball mode still. Tobias Myers had that game against the White Sox where, he was benched right away, and it was kind of weird. It was just a weird situation because while he did struggle earlier in the year, he didn't pitch too bad recently. He had 2 games where he didn't pitch too bad against the Rays and the Astros. And it just seemed like it was just a strange release. Like so against the White Sox, he pitched those 2 innings. Obviously, they kind of relegated him to like a bullpen role where he pitched on the second against the Cubs, pitched one inning with 1 K, 11 pitches. He didn't really look too bad there, but his ERA still sat at 5.14. And then against Houston, he had 5 1/3 innings, only 6 hits, but he only allowed 1 run. He had 2 Ks, but only allowed 1 run. And that was that 5-1 victory over Houston. And then in Tampa, he had those 2 earned runs allowed in 4 innings with 3 Ks, 3 walks, 3 hits allowed, 75 pitches. I didn't think that was that bad of an outing for Tobias Myers. Now, he got dropped down there. I think there were some other internal things going on just because he did have some rebounds. And then you have Quinn Preister, who just wasn't looking good at all for the Brewers. And you kept him up. I don't know if because you thought maybe you gave up a lot for him that you got to just keep him in the majors. I really have no idea what the deal was with that. So I think maybe it was something internally. I believe maybe he had some problems with Pat Murphy when Murphy kind of called out Myers to everyone like, hey, this is a lesson for you. You're going to have to start off the game with not walking the first guy. You're going to have to start off doing, pitching pretty well, and you're going to have to just change what you're doing. And maybe he didn't take that too well. I don't know. But I will say Priester has looked better the past two outings after, he just struggled against the Cubs. That's 10-0 loss. He had that 7 earned allowed. Against the Cardinals, he had 5 earned. But he did He did look better against Cleveland during the Brewers' 20-inning scoreless streak that they ended this just today. But he looked better yesterday, only allowed 1 earned on a solo shot by Jose Ramirez. He had 2 walks, 3 Ks, and 3 hits allowed, so that wasn't too bad. Luckily, the Brewers swung that around, though, today. Again, Logan Henderson pitched nicely, but I have to give my props to Rhys Hoskins. 4 hits on 4 at-bats, drove in 5 RBIs, had a home run. Just did it all at the plate. Unfortunately, Jared Koenig gave up that 3-run home run to Jose Ramirez, who's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball this year. Nolan Jones also had a pair of hits in the RBI. It was a 9-5 game, but the bats came alive. And this is the second time in, I think, probably 2 weeks. I believe it was against the Cubs in the Astros, maybe the start of the Astros series, but it was against the Cubs where the Brewers had those 21 or 22 innings scoreless streak there. Again, they just ended the 20-inning scoreless streak today that they had against Cleveland as well, which that offense has to figure it out. From top to bottom, everybody has to figure this out. 10 total hits in the series before today for the Brewers, shut out both games. They had 3 hits yesterday. Getting that turned around is definitely going to that's going to be critical. Jake Bauers had 2 RBIs today as well. William Contreras looked pretty nice, but Hoskins had that 2-run home run in the 7th that made it 7-2. Then he drove in 2 more in the 9th with a single to solidify the 9-5 game. But against Tampa and Cleveland, the Brewers went 2-4. Didn't look very good against Tampa. Outdoors at that. There was that game that had the rain delay at the start of the game with absolutely no rain. And then it was a little bit of a delay before they got that tarp over the field and still played through that. But right now we're looking at DL Hall starting the rehab start for AAA Nashville very soon. Brian Hudson was sent down as well. But DL Hall should be starting that rehab assignment with Nashville by the end of the weekend, rather. And Brewers just need to start hitting. That's pretty much, if you just want to say the Brewers struggles, hitting and injuries. Christian Yelich has a 205 batting average. Yes, he has 7 home runs, but a 205 batting average with 50 strikeouts on the year. He needs to figure that out. He's mainly a DH, so you're doing that at DH, 298 on base percentage. You're not good. Brewers have a 230 team batting average, a 307 team on base percentage, also rank in the bottom half of the league. Bryce Terang, that's actually a bright spot. You have William Contreras, who I'd say is a bright spot as well. 25 walks to 32 strikeouts for William Contreras, so I have to give him the props there. Sal Frelick as well, 14 walks to 18 strikeouts, 350 on base percentage, so got to give my props there. Rhys Hoskins has had a fantastic season this year. 21 walks, 33 strikeouts, 292 batting average, 396 on base. But Jackson Churio struggling with strikeouts, 39-4, only 4 walks. That's a problem. Caleb Durbin, it looked like, he's been horrible. Garrett Mitchell, horrible. I believe Caleb Durbin was just sent down. Isaac Collins hasn't really done too well. For some reason, they have Isaac Collins and Isaac Michael Collins. I don't know if that's the same guy. I thought that was, but let me pull it up and see. Looks like the same guy. That is the same guy. That's stupid. ESPN is. You would think ESPN, the multi-billion-dollar company, would have that correct, but they have 2 separate stats for him. One at left field and one at second. Even though hitting-wise, they're different as well. One guy has 1 more at bat, so it throws off the averages completely. But that's super weird with 1 extra hit. So that's just super weird, but it's the same guy with 1 extra game played. So it's like they updated one guy and didn't update the other. But Jake Bauers and his 59 plate appearances hasn't been bad. Vinny Capra was a waste of time. He played very well in spring training. I thought he deserved to make the roster, honestly. He turned out he did not deserve the roster at all. I don't even know if he deserves AAA, how bad he played. 54 at-bats registered, 4 hits. He had 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 7 total bases, and 54 at-bats. With 2 walks, 15 strikeouts. He did have a stolen base. However, his on-base percentage was .121, not even 200. So your on-base percentage was not at the Mendoza line. You have no place there. Eric Haas has been a nice backup. Daz Cameron, Mike Cameron's son, hasn't looked good either. 17 plate appearances, 2 hits. Does have 9 strikeouts to 1 walk. Doesn't look good. Andrew Monasterio, he just came back up. He still is yet to record a hit in 5 at-bats, so we're looking for maybe a hit from him. However, he does have 3 walks compared to 2 strikeouts, so that's not, 0 for 5, but 3 walks. That's not, I'll take that with you just coming back up. But the Brewers' offense really has to get it going. They just can't. You just can't. Yeah, Caleb Durbin is still up here, batting 187 on the season, 75 at-bats, 14 hits, 4 walks to 4 strikeouts, which is all right. He does have a home run, but again, another Monday he went 0 for 3, Sunday 0 for 3, Saturday 0 for 4, 1 for 4 on Friday, 1 for 3 on Wednesday. I wonder if they did. I thought I just saw that he was getting sent down recently, but he definitely needs to. But there was that play. I will say there was that play against the Rays, and this will be the last thing I say. But there was that play against the Rays where we stole second base, and then as we're stealing second base, he's kind of in a rundown. Well, the Rays tried to steal second base, got in a rundown. The Brewers threw it over to third base, and they said Caleb Durbin obstructed the Rays player from getting back, sliding into third base. So because of that rule, and that's a complete judgment call as well, third base umpire James Coy had ejected Pat Murphy for arguing that call, and I thought that was complete garbage. There was no obstruction. However, it's completely interpreted to the umpire. So it's, the umpire thought that's what it was. That's what it was. So that's how that went. That was actually the deciding moment in that game. That run decided the game. So that was a tough break, but hopefully the Brewers offense turns this around. The NFL schedule has been released. So for everyone at home that wants to dissect that game by game, line by line, it's free to do. I tried to do it a little bit here tonight. Next week I'll probably go into a little bit more about that. Maybe I'll talk some Admirals. I probably won't watch the games just because I have no idea how to even watch them. But I'll see if I can get some stuff together to discuss them because they start their Central game finals, I believe, Central Division finals against the Texas Stars one of these nights. So they came back from down 2-0 to win 3-2 in the series. So their last series against Rockford. So that was great to see. Maybe we'll look at some Giannis trades, do some mock trades or something, go over that next week. Hopefully the Brewers offense looks better. But yeah, I definitely want to discuss some Admirals. Hopefully if they continue winning in the AHL playoffs. That's it for this week. Everyone enjoy the schedule release. I'm going to go look at every single team's schedule, all 272 matchups, and see what looks fun. See you next week, everyone.